Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Episode 14, Post and Pints. Thank you for tuning in alongside Matt, Dre, Kyle, and Alex. Trey. I'm Justin.
I was just about to say,
and this week's special guest, John Patrick Bigley, Capo and board member for the Viking Army Supporters Club, board member for the Hudson River Derby Foundation, representative at the Independent Supporters Council. God, he added so much crap here. And captain of the Viking Army's Rocket League team. We also want to give a congrats out for him getting married March 7th to a fellow Viking Army member, nay, a Viking Army goddess, Jamie. Yeah. And congrats on popping your podcast cherry tonight. Thanks for joining us, John.
Thanks for having me, man.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Which corner is he fighting out of?
In the red corner.
Okay.
There we go. That's the fair corner.
I'm telling you right now, Justin's going to eventually leave us. He's going to get a job introducing Morgan Freeman to rooms.
Morgan Freeman? Jesus Christ.
I hear he has a contract to do the Mike Tyson fights.
I've drank with you a lot of times, and I've actually never noticed your voice until I started listening to the podcast.
It's crazy. I appreciate that you listen to the podcast.
That happens a lot. Nobody really notices his voice.
It's
I don't talk much.
Yo, Justin's voice is like smooth velvet on a fall summer's eve. Yeah, that's right.
And for that reason,
I'm just gonna say it's
Matt. Matt, do you pre-game our recordings or something?
Yes, he comes in blitz. Speaking of blitz, we go around the table or webcast circle, if you will. We start off. What are you drinking? You're gonna start it off for us, because I just drink water, so I'm boring. So Big, what are you drinking tonight? Tell us a little about it, and then we'll pass on to Matt.
Down East cider. It's a fantastic cider from New England. Unfortunately, it's not local, but it is my favorite cider. Yeah, so that's what I'm drinking tonight. We are making a Departed Souls run this weekend, though, so we'll be picking up some of the new sours.
I saw Brian was working on something red, white, and bluish. So, shout out to Departed Souls. Yeah. Appreciate it.
John, are you taking orders?
What do you want?
Cake.
I'll let you know.
Let me get 3 of everything.
What do you want?
You can take the truck, dude. Just take our truck.
Hold on, I'm not fancy like John. I don't have a kegerator. A 6-pack will be fine.
I don't have that either.
Not you.
Shorts guy. Yeah, he's
30 minutes on talking about kegs. Kegerators. We almost got sponsored.
I think he convinced Alex to buy one.
No, that's what I'm saying. Kyle, we don't have a kegerator yet.
Yes.
He was trying to cut a hole in the cabinet before. I don't know.
It'll fit. I promise.
I don't even drink beer anymore. A kegerator. Let's do it.
Yep.
Sai, what are you sipping on tonight? Please no sappy stories, you son of a bitch.
Don't yell at me. It's just I'm just drinking a nice Brooklyn lager. That's it. Nothing special.
Nice.
I'm dreaming of the Brooklyn lagers I usually drink at Fox's on Tuesday nights with Justin, but Justin's moving away.
Sappy.
There's always a story.
God damn it.
Always sneaks it in there.
Justin, I'm gonna miss having I realize with this quarantine going on, this is also the end of Justin and I going to Fox and Hounds, because even when this is over, Justin's not going to live near Fox and Hounds, and
He's dying, everybody.
Basically.
Pretty much, yeah.
I mean, South Jersey is pretty much like a retirement home.
Well, there is no Central Jersey, so it's north and south. But that's a horse of a different color. That's a story that we will dive into later. That's just a tease. We're teasing.
I'm ready to blast off right now. Let's go.
Dre, what are you drinking? Dre, what are you drinking?
All right. So I originally had some beer that I bought at home, and I was supposed to bring it over here, and I forgot. So instead, I am drinking New Belgium Fat Tire, which is a really good beer, actually. I've had it a bunch of times. It's a good summer beer. So yeah. New Belgium Fat Tire.
Very nice.
Kyle?
What day is it?
Me? Today I'm drinking St. John's Irish Red from Tom's River Brewing. I haven't tried anything other than Killian's for Irish Red, and this is way better. I'm not gonna lie.
Wait, you're saying an American beer is better than an Irish one? What is going on?
Yeah, this is pretty good.
All right, Alex, what do you got?
Well, I ran out of ginger ale, so I am drinking Jameson Straight. Just Jameson Straight in my my coffee cup here.
No, ice cube, nothing.
No. There's 2.
There was ice cubes.
There you go.
He had to leave the other 2 out to make room for more Jameson.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Yeah, it's only a 16-ounce mug, so I don't have that much room for ice cubes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, so John Patrick Bigley
Oh God, gotta go
JP.
in full government name, huh?
Your social security number as well and blood type. You're a capo and a board member for the Viking Army. I've been a supporter for 2 years now. I would love to know how long you've been there.
As a member of Viking Army, a due-paying member, it's been about 6 years. As like an active member, probably been about 3 years, 3.5 years since we started getting involved. It's kind of courtesy of getting a new job and being able to have a life. So it's pretty sweet. So I got to spend a lot more time with you guys.
Definitely good perks.
The perks of having the weekends off.
Besides the spending time with us. Shit,
come on now.
That's
just gives me a reason to drink. That's all.
Especially that Matt.
No, that's the reason he drinks. It's because he has to deal with us.
I would.
I did have to
hang
ride
out with the misfit band of toys that is the Viking Army. I would drink all the time too.
Now, Matt added a bunch of questions that we're supposed to ask you, and I remember a few of these go to specific people. And I completely forgot which one was mine.
I believe I'm up first, if I remember correctly.
I think so, because we're going to talk about.
Right.
No, Dre goes first. I remember Matt said something about Dre going first.
For
once, yes, you get to steal my thunder.
I get to go while I'm still sober. So
good. Yeah, go ahead. Start it off.
This way he doesn't ask a 5-part question.
True.
And then does my outro.
I stole it last week. That was my bad.
No, I'm telling. And you know what's the funniest thing? Like, if you listen back to it, and you could totally tell, like, throughout the episode, like, at what level drunk was, like, at what level Dre's, like, alcohol was just a little too much. Like, you hit, like, just at the beginning of that second part, and you can totally tell Dre is just, like, losing himself.
The switch turned on. He was just.
It was fun.
You could hear the progression on the podcast.
Yeah, I mean,
that's all about.
That's kind of how it is.
It's good.
It was almost. It was almost as satisfying as listening to Shorts Guy become more and more inebriated as the podcast rolled on.
He was gone,
one of my
but it was great.
Hey, listen, that's our brand. That's in our name. You know, the pints are a very important part of the podcast.
Get drunk. Tell me your secrets.
I was trying to keep up with it.
So,
taxi cab confession.
My question: out of the group here, I am the one that represents German soccer. And as we all know, the Bundesliga is finally back, and I am super excited. And I'm sure the entire soccer world is really excited in general, just to have live soccer back. That's not a bunch of farmers in Belarus or like the Korean second division or something.
First of all,
don't knock those Belarusian ultras.
I was about to say.
Listen, I was born in Ukraine. I know about Ukrainian Eastern European ultras. I'm saying the quality of soccer.
Now, don't you dare talk disrespect to the Belarusian Premier League, okay?
Not to mention the Koreans had a great idea.
They held it.
Yes, with the sex dolls.
Why did like they made a public apology for using sex dolls? Why? They're wearing clothes. They're holding up signs. Why are you apologizing?
Don't apologize for art, goddammit.
I thought it was fantastic.
I thought it was great. I'm sitting here like
I totally agree, but in Japan and Korea, the culture is very much like shameful. Like people are supposed to feel shame, so that's what it is.
Yeah, that's fine and dandy. Me as an American is like I'm actually now invested. Like,
you get my FC Seoul jersey.
Yeah. Which team? I was gonna say which team?
FC Seoul, I think.
Matt, which Korean or which Chinese league team do you support? Oh no, I fuck all. I don't care about that. Yo, you seeing those sex dolls over there? I will watch that. Are you kidding me? Look at that. That is so ingenious. The German league is using cutouts. The Japanese are like 8 steps ahead of you. Like, no, we're using real like dolls.
We're 20 steps ahead of everybody with tarps.
There you go.
Hey, they have.
That's a fair point.
Hey, excuse me. They have Shorts Guy on those tarps. They better never take them down.
I am not on those tarps.
Just disappointing.
Circling back to actual soccer talk.
Hey, we can make this happen. We can just
when we come back,
big old picture of your face, run up in there and just slap it on.
I'll slap it on, dude.
Player's body or something.
When we come back, our first team will just say Bigley on the tarps.
And I'll do stickers and put them all over the arena.
Oh damn!
That'll work.
You're gonna have some dad bringing his 2 kids to a Red Bull game, and like the kids are gonna see the sticker. Dad, what's a Bigley? I have no idea, son. I have no idea.
Gonna find out.
Could be like a picture of his face.
We'll tell you when.
All right. Yellow card. Trey.
All right. Thank you.
Go back to your question.
I think everyone needs a yellow card at this point. So going back to the line of questioning we have here, I'm the Bundesliga representative. I'm super pumped that it's back. How do you feel about having live soccer back? Do you have a particular team in the Bundesliga that you follow? And what did you think of this first weekend of having soccer back and the empty arenas? Just talk about how you enjoyed it.
So I'll answer that in two parts because there's going to be a but in there. So I am really excited to have live soccer back. I think that is fantastic. I think everyone is all good with that. And I'm happy that people get to watch it. But you guys are going to be really disappointed in me because I actually did not watch any of it.
Hey, same here.
Woo! I actually
Justin, we expect that from you.
So
yeah, you're right.
Well, because I had, as Justin mentioned in my intro, I'm captain of Viking Army's Rocket League team that plays in the Supporters Gaming League on Fridays and Saturdays on the weekends, and then we often practice on Sundays. So I didn't really get to watch any soccer this weekend. But
first and foremost, you do.
I'm going to send you some recommendations because there were two pretty fire games this weekend. But
first and foremost,
listen, I might sit down and watch them this weekend. That's fine. It's Memorial Day weekend. It'll be good.
I really didn't even watch the games.
As for like a team, I never overly followed Bundesliga.
You can say it's boring.
But it's not boring.
Whoa.
Buddy. It's a fun league.
Ray has left the conversation.
It's a fun league to watch. I have become like kind of just from some Red Bull fan friends on Twitter kind of got me into Union Berlin. So I did kind of start.
That's an interesting team to choose. You're not a RB Leipzig supporter. We got Tyler Adams out there. We got Jesse Marsh in Salzburg, who might eventually move up there. Not RB Leipzig.
I only support RB New York because it's my local. And
there you go. All right.
No affinity to the other Red Bull teams.
Very fair.
I just watched Leipzig and watched Tyler Adams, and I cry. That's the only reason I watch it.
I also work for Pepsi, so if I supported every Red Bull team, I'd probably get fired. So
yes,
you know
I can get away with this one.
I'll say it. You work for the better side.
One slip.
I give you credit for choosing Union as your team because they're just got promoted. Not a very popular team in terms of any recent success. They were an East German team, and East German teams do very poorly in the Bundesliga just because of that whole West Germany, East Germany split. And they're one of the first teams other than RB Leipzig to come out of East Germany and make it to the Bundesliga. So interesting.
No, they're awesome. After hearing their whole story from some friends of mine, it was just like, I'm into that. So
one last thing before I pass it off. I was watching that game this weekend where Union played Bayern, and their home stadium has 3 sides of safe standing and 1 side of seats. So literally 3/4 of the stadium is all standing like we have in the South Ward. That's 3/4 of the entire stadium, and the only side that's not safe standing is the side behind the camera, so you can't see it on TV. So that atmosphere gets bumping every single game. They only put like 25,000 people in there, but they get it packed with energy.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but their supporters helped build that stadium, right?
Oh, out of the two Berlin teams, Union Berlin is definitely like the blue collar guys compared to Hertha. So their supporters are super into the club and support it everywhere possible.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So there's actually a post on another news platform with the MLS that I follow, and they actually broke it down pretty heavily on what MLS team you support. This is the Bundesliga team you should support, and apparently Red Bull links up extremely prominent with Bayern Leverkusen, and I'm telling you right now, I don't know, I always have the connection with RB Leipzig, but I feel you know what, especially right now that I'm just starting to watch, because I've watched Bundesliga a lot in the past. I've just never been hooked to a team. I'm not like Trey, who.
There we go.
What did I do to you?
Listen, you got the name back tonight because you made a little boo boo.
Okay.
Until you don't make any more mistakes.
The little boo boo people aren't going to hear.
We explain this rule via text, okay?
Yeah.
But basically, honestly, and I know Dre's kind of talked about it a little bit, but we can have a few discussions. There was a couple games that really just, I think, across the board disappointed me, and I know Dre's going to be a little upset about it. I'm going to actually go after.
You also watched Paderborn versus Dusseldorf? The two teams getting relegated who played to a 0-0 tie.
First and foremost, this is the first live soccer I've had. The last live soccer game I had was Manchester United playing a Thursday night game in the Europa League against some Bulgarian league team. I don't even remember the name, but that was the last soccer I had about 2 months ago. I really don't care who the fuck was on the TV. It's live soccer. I'm goddamn fucking watching it, and I'm going to love every second of it. Are you joking? My fiance was yelling at me all week, and she's like, "You're still watching soccer?" I go, No, not for discussion. You've had 2 months of me without my attention going elsewhere. No, this is my
just a
time
podcast.
Now.
Just wait until the Prem comes back. Crystal Palace is going to play, and he's going to invite us all over to get drunk for no reason.
Every time Wilfred Zaha falls on his ass, everyone takes a chug. We're all going to be slaughtered by half. We're going to be slaughtered by the half. No, but overall, I was disappointed with a couple teams, like right off the bat. One of them actually being Bayern Munich. When I was watching the Bayern Munich game, yes, they did win, but at the same time, they didn't look comfortable. They really did.
Yeah, 100%.
They didn't look like they looked like a team that they just got off the off season, and this was their first game back, and everyone's kind of stretching off the cobwebs. But two shining stars, actually both out of the defense. Pavard for Bayern Munich played an absolutely perfect game. And then to give the MLS some love, Alphonso Davies, I think, is making at least making an argument, not only being the best left back in Bundesliga, but with the way he's evolved that position, I think he's competing now with the rest of the world being like a top 5 left back in the world. And it's actually kind of crazy thinking about how this guy was a forward for, the Vancouver Whitecaps. It's really incredible that only a couple years later, now he's playing defense in one of the most offensive leagues in the world. I think that's pretty cool. I think the team that impressed me the most, and I think it's pretty easy to say, Dortmund came out of the tunnel, and I'm telling you right now, they came out with brass knuckles on, and unfortunately, Hertha Berlin happened to be in their way, and good God,
Schalke, bro.
Oh, Schalke. I'm sorry, it was Schalke. My apologies.
Hertha Berlin actually won this weekend against Hoffenheim.
Oh my God. Oh.
You silly man. How dare you?
You got to get your Bundesliga on,
Well,
bro.
you know what? I'm glad it's the only soccer on, because now I get to enjoy every last second of it. But yeah, no, there were a couple teams that kind of really came out slow, and I would like to see now, after everyone's kind of shaking off the cobwebs, people can go.
The only two teams that looked impressive to me were Gladbach and Dortmund, and Leverkusen. Those three teams.
I was going to say Leverkusen put
those
up
3
4.
teams looked really, really good. Bayern looked like they scraped out a victory and didn't get an injury. So you know what? I'm just gonna dust my hands off and move on. I was not impressed, but I'll take 3 points. Yeah.
Good. Speaking of moving on,
just wait to see what
with Bundesliga for 20 minutes.
Wait to see what RBNY's cobwebs look like.
So I'm actually the next one up on the questions.
Good.
So
go ahead.
I just won't stop talking. There you go.
Great.
I love this
podcast.
And I'll keep making facial reactions, and John will love it.
Oh, yeah, they are great.
This is what we do every podcast. It's great.
Yeah.
So you kind of John, you talked about your start with the support of the Viking Army when you started becoming an actual member, when you started getting involved. So you now being a board member, I know you've been a board member now for the last few years. What made you want to take that next step and get yourself into that board member position? Was there a specific event, or is that just something that you wanted to do for a long time?
Well, I mean, it was more or less something it was similar to the way that I became a capo. It was kind of, the opportunity was there. There wasn't anybody that was really, not many people were interested in it, despite the thought of there being, over 400 members in our supporters club. There's only about 5 that were interested in being board members. So it was more or less I was already contributing to the club. So what else can I do to try and make things better for the club? So it was just kind of, I was interested in it. I already did a lot when it came to TIFO, Capo, things like that. And then just got more and more involved when it came to that, and just carried on, figured the next step was to become a board member. So I ran and ran unopposed. So,
what?
Who
There was like
would
20
vote
people
against
against
you?
you.
so I am your unelected official.
Oh, stop.
Nobody would vote against you anyway.
I was about to say, are you joking?
How much money did you
spend? How much money did you spend on campaigning? You had to get buttons and stickers and lawn signs.
No,
Yeah.
He showed up. He put pants on, showed up.
Spent probably 30 cents on my email for sending in the application, and that was it.
30 cents worth of electricity.
That was my that was my electric and internet bill.
And out of nowhere, Bloomberg comes in and is running, and out of nowhere drops $200 million. And
then all of a sudden,
still
5 Viking Army board members are now Mike Bloomberg, and that's basically happening.
That's it. Warms my heart. But I'm telling you right now, being a Viking Army member, I would rather the people who are in the board member positions. Every last one of you, I absolutely love, and I love the fact that you're there, and that just makes the group so much better.
Appreciate that.
So, something I just quickly thought of. What made you choose the VA over potentially GSU or ESC?
It was really, it kind of came down to they were just always the very welcoming club to me. And, the few games that I was able to go to prior to starting my new job and having a life and being able to get more involved, they were always super friendly, super nice. And then the thing that really got us to kind of become more involved was when I started bringing my wife to the games.
Dropping the big hard W right there.
They just hard W. Yeah, I've been getting used to it. I've been practicing.
That's good.
And they just they welcomed her in with open arms. They welcomed me in with open arms, and they were just always all right, this is my club, and these are great people, and it was just always a good time. Nothing against the other supporters groups. They're great people in every supporters group. I don't think I've met a bad person through Red Bull, or through supporting Red Bull. But VA is just that
Trey guy.
VA is just my home.
Have you met Trey?
So you know what? You mentioned that, and I remember back with my story. I think probably 7 years ago, 7 years or so ago. It was Gladys. Gladys was the one who got me. She was just like, hey, you're always parking by us with the tailgates. You're always because at the time I wasn't
come over
in
and hang out, you weirdo.
No, she was. Well, no,
Dude,
you know what?
I see you drinking
man.
White Claws. I'm drinking White Claws.
White Claws weren't around 7 years ago,
I was
bro.
about to-
Ain't no
come
White
on,
Claws
now.
7
That's
years
true.
ago.
He was over there drinking Mike's hard lemonade.
Mike's Hard. That's what it was.
But the bit the crazy thing was it was that it's the fact that the Viking Army is really so welcoming, and it's so inviting, no one's excluded, and I think that's it just. I get what you're saying, John. I experienced it personally. And yes, whoever said shout out to Gladys, 100% shout out to Gladys. But I have one more follow-up.
She's the one that got me to go from hanging out with the VA for 2 years to paying money to be part of the VA. So
Yeah,
yes, Gladys accomplished that with me for sure.
That's something we as a board really strive for, and each and every board member. I mean, I don't think there's anybody greater at it than Chupi, the founder of the club.
Yo, shut the fuck up, everybody.
Chupi
I got something to say.
He can spot someone that hasn't been to a tailgate before from a mile away and walk right up to him and just be the friendliest person on earth.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, the amount of times Matt brought me to away games and we're just in the parking lot, we brought our own beer and stuff, and Chupi just shows up with 2 pitchers. He's like, "Where's your cup? Where's your cup?" And just starts pouring shit in my cup, and I'm like, "Fuck, okay, yeah, let's do this."
Yeah.
I'll never forget. It was Dre's first away game. I brought him to one of the Derby games. It's funny enough, the Derby is my next question to John, but the first thing I did, I brought him, and it was an 8 a.m. or 7 or 8 a.m. tailgate. We got there just as everything was starting to get set up, and Dre's just sitting there oh, this is fun. Dre's got I think he bought a little Tropicana orange juice from Wawa or something. He was just drinking it because he's it's 8 a.m. I'm not drinking. And Chupi just walks over, hey, you, here's a cup, and just starts pouring him beer. And Dre's just he looks at me, he's it's 8 a.m. And I'm just yeah, but that's just what they do. He's
these are my people.
Okay.
You gotta
These
get
are
ready
my
for that
people.
Philly tailgate somehow.
Yeah.
So
Eggs
to
and
go
eggs.
into it's another board member question, but you're actually a part of another board that actually has to do with the NYCFC versus Red Bull rivalry. If you want to explain that and let people know in case they don't.
Yeah, so I'm a board member for the Hudson River Derby Foundation. That was basically a foundation created between Viking Army Empire Supporters Club and Third Rail supporters. It was initially came up as an idea at the Independent Supporters Council conference between one of our previous board members and some others. So they had kind of gotten together and said, hey, let's come up with something similar to the Supporter Shield, but for the Hudson River Derby, where the supporters own it, the league doesn't own it. So that kind of started the process of getting the name trademarked, and now we're only in our second year with it, and obviously this season hasn't really helped things very much. So we do have everything trademarked. We do own the rivalry per se. The supporters own that, and we are currently working on fundraising through scarf sales for getting an actual trophy within the next year or two. So
nice. Yeah, I was just about to ask about that. Like, is there some kind of like trophy you could hand back and forth between the fan base? That's super cool.
It'd be very similar to how the Supporters Shield is handled.
I feel like, you know, based on the win-loss history, we should keep it for the first couple of years.
We might go back and we're still discussing how we're gonna retrofit some things, or even
because
retrofit
as the Red Bull supporters, we definitely will fight for retrofitting
it. Yeah, so we'll see. I just want to put the 7-0 on there somewhere.
Oh yeah, no, you have to. You
gotta
have
sneak
to.
it in.
It's like the 1 week or the 1 month that it's in our possession. Like, we pay someone to the Stanley Cup guy to inscribe it on there.
Yeah,
that's it. That's
so,
you know.
So talking about obviously away games and all that fun stuff, John, as a board member, we all know away games are a very happy, fun, drunk moment for most of our supporters. We can be a little much to deal with. So as a board member, what's it like on away game trips?
Honestly, it's pretty fun. I don't think I've ever really had a bad experience. Obviously,
you've never had to get someone out of jail or something.
Well,
one or two times.
I mean,
wasn't there one?
It wasn't necessarily me doing it, but you know, we
had John.
I know Shorts Guy talked
some of his stories.
I know Shorts Guy talked about the Atlanta away last year or 2 years ago. So during the playoffs, so we did have some police issues at that one.
Actually, speaking of that game, it's actually the 2-year anniversary to that game is today.
Yeah.
Is it really?
Wait, are you talking about?
I'm talking about the playoffs. Yeah.
Never mind. I thought you were talking about the 3-1. When
what year is it? Wait a second.
I'm talking about the playoff game that Shorts Guy had mentioned a few weeks ago.
I don't recall.
So yeah, we did have some issues with that. We do have the occasional fight on the bus. There's some scraps that happen in the actual stadium. There's issues with other fans, but for the most part, the past few bus trips I've done, at least, we really haven't had any issues. It's been a good time. It is a long day. I will say that as a board member for a road game, you are pretty much there for about 16 hours. So you're involved with the away day. So it's a lot.
The few games that I've gone away, honestly, we've never had issues. I've never seen members of ours, acting out of line. I mean, when we're chanting and screaming, that's a whole different story. Yeah. We're always pretty respectful. But I know I've heard, not from us, but from other Capos and other teams, just horror stories of away games, and some of the people can get.
Yeah, they could be rough from time to time, but I mean, obviously NYC away is always an issue. There's usually at least something that happens, but
for example, that day they might happen to be using the new stronger version of pepper spray.
Sorry, Shorts Guy.
What do you mean it's the what do you mean it's the new version?
Well,
this one's 3 times stronger.
You might go blind.
I have not
pour a lot of milk in your eyeball.
So I don't have that strike yet. So
The worst I've seen with our supporters group is just you and Choopy trying to wrangle 50 plus drunk people at a McDonald's at 3 a.m. on the way back from New England.
that's honestly a much more difficult task. It is.
16-hour days, no problem. Wrangling 50 drunk people at a McDonald's, fucking miserable.
You're like 2 hours from home at a McDonald's on the turnpike, trying to just corral people into a
You
bus.
thought school trips were bad. No.
I'll never.
At least those kids you can kind of push around.
I'll never forget. I will never forget. I have the video on my phone. I'll shoot it over to Dre at some point, see if he can put it in the show notes. I have this video. I think it was from Philly away last year. We had like half of the bus that John was running had like 20% of the entire Polish nation in the back of it.
Yeah, that was a good
and John is trying to John's trying to communicate like things and directions, and out of nowhere you just hear all these Polish people in the background doing Polish chants. And then John
I wish I was on that bus. That would have been fun as shit.
It was a great bus.
And John's just like, and I see we have the entire Polish delegation.
The entire nation of Poland came onto a Viking Army bus.
And it was too fun. It was just, you know what? I'm telling you right now, you board members, and this isn't like definitely you guys, but this not only even just stretches out to the Red Bull, but like I want to give a shout out to like every board member in, you know, across all supporters groups. Like the responsibility you guys carry for everything you do. And especially like you guys make it very clear, this isn't something that you guys are getting a paycheck out of. You're doing this you are doing this for the love and the passion of the supporters and the team. And like I said, to you guys and to every supporters board member whatsoever, like kudos to you guys. Like you guys do so much that like a lot of people, if they had like not a lot of people who are going to be listening to this are not going to know that an away day is usually a 16-hour day for you. I know people who complain about working 7 hours in a day and they're getting paid at that job.
Fucking millennials.
While you're working unpaid for 16 hours, wrangling 50 drunk people in a McDonald's at 2 a.m.
Yeah, but we wouldn't have that privilege without you guys. Yeah. So, and that kind of makes it all worth it at the end of the day is, you know, our membership. And once you actually get into the game and the section is loud and the section is hyped and everybody had a good time and hopefully everybody is safe and everyone gets home safe, that's, you know, that's the biggest thing that makes it all worth it.
I'll never forget. This was New England last year, and it's downpouring. And I took like,
oh yeah, that was a good time.
I think I like for a part of the game I was in the rain, but for like the second half, I'm like, I just don't want to get wet anymore.
You're not ultra. I was in the rain for 90 minutes.
And I just sat down and I was sitting next to my friend Tony, who's in Empire, and Choopy just comes up next to me and sits down and he just looks like beat to shit. And I'm just like, you okay, Choopy? He goes, Matt, this is the first time I've sat down in easily 14 hours. I just want to just close my eyes. And this is all while a game is going on. But like he's just enjoying the few moments where he's like, I can see all the people I care about. I'm just going to just sit down for like 5 minutes.
Yeah. Now that we've talked about a lot of the like the horror stories, not the difficulties that go into being a board member, and away days especially. What's your like favorite memory of an away day?
Ooh. Well, neither of them
points if it's getting pepper sprayed.
You know what?
You can't top it, dude. You can't. That's like just the most magical soccer story I've ever heard in my life.
I think it was last call at RFK was probably my favorite. First of all, that was me and Jamie's first full-on like away day bus trip, whole thing. So that like obviously holds a special place in our hearts. But that was just a fun game. That was a blast to watch. Just the stadium basically falling apart right before our eyes. It's awesome.
You can find videos of like the whole section.
Everything was just shaking. I just remember turning and there was this security guard that was next to us. And he was literally he looked at the section and was just like, oh, y'all are on your own.
I don't get paid for this. You're out. I'm out.
Like we started doing sha-la-la and he just started backing away and we started jumping. He was like, yeah, I'm out. He was like, if this thing goes down, I ain't going with you. So yeah. It that was definitely probably like my most fun away day.
Nice. I never got to see RFK. My first DC away trip was BWP's 100th goal, which is an awesome trip. That entire night was a clusterfuck for Matt and I and
There
Kyle.
was nothing good about that trip except for the game. Don't fucking lie.
And the game was
all about
aside from the first 2 minutes, the game wasn't even that exciting. It was just we were there for the 100th goal. We didn't get back to RBA till like 4 a.m. So, Matt had to rent a van. He drove in the morning. I had to drive back after midnight.
We scaled the sign of Mount Everest to get to our seats.
No,
my God, it's like a 45-degree fucking grade. I thought Marco was gonna die.
I thought Marco was
gonna,
we all thought Marco. Yeah.
So
we all thought that was Marco's last day. We thought Marco was going to die.
He's not making it up there.
For that
we
game,
should have planted a flag. You know how like you fucking get to the top of the mountain. You should have planted a fucking flag and left it there.
It's got his safari hat on it.
The DC United front office won't let us bring flags or banners, so yeah. So they do that. That's awesome.
Hashtag no fun.
Yeah, they're no fun. For that game, I enjoyed the warmth and comfort of the North Brunswick pub, and we sat there and did trivia night. It was good.
You know what?
Currently doing reconstruction there, by the way.
I know, Bigley. I know we've talked about this in person, but like from now on, whenever we have games there, like my girlfriend lives 4-minute drive from the North Brunswick pub, so like I will totally. If we have like away games that we watch there, like I'm totally down to be involved in all that.
Yeah, we were doing them pretty consistently through last year. So
yeah.
Thanks for joining us on episode 14, part uno, with John Patrick Bigley. Stay tuned for much more coming up after a short break. Thank you.